talk about, but Stephen A. Smith actually has played a huge part in this actual podcast coming to life.
Okay.
Why
do you say that?
Because, we've been working on it for a while. We've had multiple meetings, we've gone through, a lot to kind of get the studio, everything together, some other actual tools that we'll be using to kind of push the actual project forward. And while we were going through that process, there's always doubt as far as whether you're doing something that people are really going to attach themselves to.
True.
And I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't have some times of doubt. But, every time I had a time of doubt, something would present itself that kind of confirmed that we were moving in the actual right direction.
Because I think it just, even when we first sat down and discussed this, it just makes sense. You know? It just makes sense.
It does. It does. So what I'm going to show real quick is I'm going to show a video where Stephen A. Smith named this podcast.
He named this podcast.
He named this podcast. Okay. Stephen A. Smith was actually on a show with Bomani Jones. Bomani Jones has a show on HBO. Man, and I can't believe I can't think of the name of the title of the show. It's an HBO show. It's a pretty good show. Stephen A. Smith was on the show and he was being interviewed by Bomani Jones. And Bomani Jones made a reference to, Stephen A. Smith's popularity.
Right.
How popular he is, how much people gravitate to him, and how sometimes that gravitation could, have a negative impact where people kind of question him and, his opinion to have some of the opinions that he has.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and play the video and you'll see exactly where I'm coming from with this and how he actually named this podcast.
All right.
We're going to roll it right now.
But when you've got the #1 morning show in sports for like 11 years now, and you've accomplished what I've accomplished, and you have the opinions that I've had and talk that smack that I've talked, eventually somebody's going to look at you and say, all right, what about you? Who are you? What you think? How do you feel? How did you come to think like this? What's your perspective? Where you get it from? Who gave you the right to have this kind of opinion?
You know what? Who gave you the right to have this kind of opinion? Who told you that your opinion about sports and how players prepare themselves, execute sports, go about their dedicate their life to a sport?
Right.
Why exactly are you someone that should be a subject matter expert on sports? And not just Stephen A. Smith, because I definitely don't want to harp on Stephen A. Smith. He is probably one of the most identifiable sportscasters out there, but it's across the board. I mean, there are a ton of people that talk about sports on a regular basis that I question exactly why we even care about their opinion about sports.